literally stopped the first one like a minute ago, but you might not know that. You might just be finding these on YouTube now. Anyway, we're going to talk about Cathedral Ward. In the first video, we covered all of Central Yarnum, kind of how to navigate it, what to look for, what's important to find out, what you're supposed to kind of learn about how to approach that level, all that kind of stuff. We beat up on the Cleric Beast and on Gascoigne, the final boss of the first area. We learned about co-op and how it works, and how leveling works, and how insight works, so we're not going to talk about any of that anymore. So if you want to know about that, go watch the first video. If you haven't watched the first video, why would you start at number 2? I mean, maybe you've beaten the first level already and you're stuck on this one, I don't know. But it's your life, man, you live it. This way is kind of a dead end right now, so we're not going to go this way. Cathedral Ward, unlike Central Yarnum, is a lot more kind of straightforward. It has some branching paths, it has some it's kind of a hub area. There's lots of different levels you can branch off to from it. You can get down to the Forbidden Forest from here. You can get down to Old Yarnum, which is kind of where we'll go first. You can get to Yarghul from here. You can get to Hemwick, Charnel Lane. Like, it's a hub area, but unlike Central Yarnum, depending on where you want to go, you kind of just pick a direction and run. And the thing is, there's a door. The way this works, this area is very, very confusing. This door does not open. It's closed. It opens when you've killed your third boss. Specifically when you kill the Bloodstarved Beast in Old Yarnum. So really the requirements to get to the big boss of this area is to kill at least 2 bosses. If you kill the Cleric Beast, which we did in the first video, you can buy an item for 10,000 Blood Echoes that will open a gate, but that is a huge waste of echoes. Don't buy that thing. Spend that on stats. Don't buy it. I'm going to show you where to go. It's fine. I'm starting to realize that I should have called this one Old Yarnum, because that's where we're going. And you can run by these guys. They walk very slow. I mean, look at this. I mean, I could strut away from him. So don't worry about them. This area can be a little bit worse as far as enemy density, mostly because of the dogs. These guys will never catch you. They try a lot harder than that other guy for some reason. If you're running at a gun guy, just zip. Zoop. Another helpful thing, you get iframes when you're opening doors. That also means that dogs can get to you. Yeah, we'll be back. If you go straight through that door back here, there's a helpful guy named Alfred. Blah, 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 blah. If you cooperate with him, he does 2 things. First of all, he gives you fire paper, which is a weapon buff, which is really nice. He lets you learn how to pray, which is a thing he does. And if you talk to him, he will give you information kind of about the world. So the Healing Church is sort of who started this whole mess, blah, blah, blah. I'll talk about that. I'll talk about Bergenworth, which is a college where they study the old blood. They're kind of the progenitors to the Healing Church. Once you come back up here, this lever opens up this tube. Out that door is kind of that entryway. That's the area we walked into this area from. These tricky, sneaky guys back behind you. I think this is just a madman's knowledge. Yep. They're worth getting. Insight's pretty helpful. And down here is our first blood gem. Tempering Blood Gemstone. tempering basically just means straight damage increase. Now this one it's not really, I don't think even worth putting in your weapon. It's a 0.7% damage increase. Until you get your weapon to like +5 and get some pretty good scaling, you're not even going to see like a 1 damage increase from this gem. But it's sort of the introduction to kind of how they work. Oh, and we'll talk about shapes real quick too. So this is a radial one. See, rating 1, shape, radial. Rating 1 is the worst rating possible. If you look at my weapon, you'll see that that is a radial slot that is kind of highlighted. The 2 dark slots are radial and waning. Radial gems tend to be stuff like, you know, damage increases. Basically, anything can be in radial. Waning tends to be more specialized for arcane type stuff. And triangle is a lot like radial as far as like what you can get from it. It's a little bit harder to find waning gems that have any kind of % damage buffs. There we go. This is a pungent blood cocktail. It will be very useful for later on in this level specifically. This door you have to click on it twice. The first time you kind of read that note that's plastered up there. The second time it opens the door. And now we're going to talk about these guys. These are, if you play Dark Souls, the little gem bug things. Same thing. They drop bloodstone shards. There's a bloodstone shard there. If you come down this way, this is sort of the major shortcut for this level. This will kind of get you to the boss area. It's also where the hunter torch is. That's fine. Oh yeah. This is the gate that leads to the shortcut, but we'll get it later. We're going to go the right way. We're going to find all the things. So, Old Yarnum, sealed behind that door with the note. It's really a place that's been sealed off from the city for a long time because there was a hunt that went bad here a long time ago, and beasts basically took over the city. And now the guy that put the note on the door, his name is Jura. He's a hunter, who's talking now.
Didn't you see the warning? Turn back at once. Old Yarnum, burned and abandoned by men, is now the hunter will face the hunt.
His whole thing is, he's kind of realized that the hunt is not the best thing in the world. And so he sort of stays down here to protect the beasts. And he's really terrible about it. He sits on top of a tower with a machine gun, which we'll see now.
You are a skilled hunter, yet merciless. I've cut with blood.
To this side is a staircase. Well, the way that, like, you're sort of, quote-unquote, supposed to go, there's really not a supposed-to-go kind of thing for this level. There's a few different paths. Another bloodstone shard. We need 8 of them to upgrade our weapon to +3, and then we'll be done with regular bloodstone shards. Right now we have 7, so we only need 1 more. Nice. If you go through this way, you sort of work your way through this room. Be very careful in here. Those little things are explodey. They'll shoot them and blow you up. I want to show you a little bit more interesting way to go. You drop down here, you die. You don't always die. You only die if you're terrible at the game like me. Whoop. I don't know where my blood echoes ended up. They're bound to be up there somewhere. Oh well, we'll go find them. Again, fall damage is not the end of the world in Bloodborne. This area down here, from the very bottom, there's a lot of enemies, so you want to be quick in here. This is another tempering gemstone. I believe it does a little bit more damage. Blood vials are always helpful. Basically, if you see something shiny, it's usually worth getting. Ouch. Again, if you're seeing a big group of guys, it's usually not worth it to try to fight them. The rifle spear is useless. And this puts it down here on the ground floor. Try to make it up this ladder. Oh, we didn't make it. Oh, goodness. I'm being a bit too clever. I'm just gonna go through the normal kind of basic way through this level. Still very easy to die, but we'll be alright. And to the right here, there's a staircase, which I completely missed. The thing about this way is it gets you to the ground floor without falling and breaking your ankle. It affords you a lot of cover. That rally, I got all of that health back just from continuing to attack. It is worth noting that rally will continue to build your health back up even after you have killed the enemy. That was not but that was her last bloodstone shards I will need. Oof. I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, QuackNate is trash, why am I learning how to play Bloodborne from him? Back behind this guy is another blood gem. We're going to talk about it in a little bit. Again, it's like Dark Souls. If you get in trouble, it's really best to just try to keep spamming roll to get yourself out of it. In Bloodborne, honestly, your best bet is to spam R1, try to attack your way out of it. That's pro strats. Oh no, but I do want to show you a thing up here. If you climb this ladder, you get up to the top, and you can talk to Jura. I don't recommend it because he'll be very hostile. You'll have to fight him. You can shoot him with your gun and knock him off the ledge if you want to, but there's a better way to deal with him. Now this area, if you go through it normally, you end up going through a bunch of beasts, you end up going down, you enter it through here, and then there's tons and tons and tons of beasts down there. If you come through the top, you can break this thing, and it drops a fire on everybody. Does a lot of your job for you. There's also some interesting items up here. Now, unlike Dark Souls, jump is on the circle button, the same as running, the same as dodging, and you can't change it to L3, so it's a huge pain. So you basically got to get sprinting and then tap circle to jump. So it's hard to aim stuff like that. Up there, there's a neat cosmetic item for your messengers. Your messengers are the guys, like if you leave a note, say, remember blood. These are your messengers. And up there, there's a thing where you can put bloody bandages, I think, on their heads. Anyway, that is a very long fall. It will hurt. But if you look down here, there's a little bit of piece of wood sticking out. You can land on that first. And then land on the ground and hardly take any damage. On this altar is ritual blood. That's important for later. Go ahead and pick it up. Over there is a bloodstone, but we don't need it. This opens up a shortcut from the area where the guy has the machine gun. It's not really worth doing. We will anyway, just because shortcuts, right? It basically just lets you avoid going back through that humongous kind of church area. You come out here, this is that ladder we crawled up. And this is the area with all the shooty stuff. So that's kind of the first shortcut. I would consider it pretty minor. The real way to go is down this way. There's a lot of little beasts just kind of sleeping here. You can take them on if you want. Or you can just run right past them. If you keep running, they will never be able to catch up to you. However, there is some stuff worth collecting later on that'll be easier if you kind of have time to get your bearings. Also, again, these werewolves are worth fighting. They give you a lot of health. Again, that was a good example of me doing things wrong. You want to dodge into their attacks. And so you just go straight through them. So if you dodge away, they hit you. What you're looking for on werewolves, honestly, they have a big wind-up attack. I think I just heard one behind me. Sure did. We're just going to leave these guys go. So that attack is the one you're looking for. That one's super easy to parry. Then you can visceral them and be done. Back to the left here. Make a note that there is a werewolf clinging on the wall up top here. When you pick up these beast blood pellets, which I think we talked about in the last video, he will drop down and you just got to run around him. And now we're coming up on our first big shortcut. Stick to the left here. Guy explodes out of the door. And then just run up here. All the way to the tippy top. And there are some more fire papers. Come on back down. Open up this gate. And you're back at the beginning. It's worth mentioning that once you've unlocked the big shortcut in a level, it's almost always worth going back to the Hunter's Dream to spend your souls or your blood echoes or whatever, upgrade your weapon if you can, just do that kind of stuff, because usually those big shortcuts are kind of right before bosses, which is the case with this one here. So we're going to go spend some souls, we're going to level up as much as we can, we're going to level up our weapon first just to make sure we have enough souls to do it. Now we're at +3. Just for funsies, we're going to go ahead and put our blood gems in there. We're +14 now. We added that gem, we're still at +14. This one is 2.1%, and charge attack's up 0.4%. Yeah, that secondary stat is kind of useless, but you can see that brings us up to +17, which is completely unaffected. Apparently this 0.7 is enough to bring it up by 1 point if both gems are in there, so that's good to know. Again, this is Old Yarnum. Almost forgot to do this.
Very well.
This is why people kill her. And since I used that, I don't have enough to upgrade now. Except...
Farewell, good hunter.
Ah. Blabber. Alright. Except we have all of these things. So we can use these. Yeah, that'll get us up there. Now we can bump up Vitality. And we'll do Endurance next. Like I said in the last video, the plan is to get them all up to 20 and then do Strength to 25 and then just kind of go from there. That's like a fairly decent first time through strength build. And as we get closer to 25, we'll talk about stats and kind of soft caps and hard caps and all that kind of stuff. The idea here is to kind of introduce you to the whole game sort of slowly so you kind of understand everything. And if I didn't explain something clearly enough, feel free to just leave a comment or something. I'll check them later. And we'll touch on them eventually. Whoop. You can drop down through the middle here for quick access to the exit. You can see you take a little bit of fall damage, but it's not really that big a deal. These enemies that scream, they turn other enemies into red-eye enemies, like that werewolf there. This guy here has regular bloodstone charts. We don't need them. I'm just going to ignore them. This is interesting. I mean, not interesting, but if you see these, what they are is... This is because of the Old Hunter Bell, which is a key item. You can consume insight just as if you're summoning somebody normal, except it will summon an NPC. So if you play Dark Souls, it's kind of like your soul heir kind of a thing. We're not going to use them though. So from here you can see the blood-starved beast back there. This is the boss. Just looking at him from here you can tell he's a beast, and there's a couple of things that you should know about beasts. Beasts are susceptible to fire damage, and they're susceptible to tear damage, so serrated weapons like the saw cleaver. which is one of the reasons why it's one of the best weapons in the game. So we're not going to really rely on Molotov cocktails too much. What we are going to rely on is pungent blood cocktails, beast blood pellets. We're doing these out of order, hold on. And fire paper. So, what the pungent blood cocktail does, this is a pungent odor when thrown that attracts bloodthirsty beasts. This guy is a bloodthirsty beast, and so as we cycle through stuff, you'll see, we'll start with fire paper. I'll walk in here. Fire paper is going to add fire damage to my weapon. Beast blood pellet is going to make me do and take more damage. And the pungent blood cocktail will attract him wherever I throw it. Like, for instance, right here against this wall. I mean, he'll ignore me when I start doing transform attacks. Now he's kind of gotten away from me, but I can just throw another one. Now he's going to go check that out. Now I can just throw another one. Go check that out. Now I'm poisoned, and you're probably like, oh no, what are you going to do? I'm going to run away from him. If you don't have antidotes, which I do, there's some right back here. They will be the first thing on your bar, so you can just go to your items, just use one real quick, and then just get killed anyway, I guess. Anyway, that's the speedrunner strat. It's not hard to pull off, but it's actually super easy. I just let it get away from me on purpose. Not on purpose, but I tried to be cute about like using antidotes or whatever. Now we're going to show kind of like the more realistic actual strategy for kind of what this guy does and how you can deal with it. That's right, I'm teaching. I'm not terrible at this game. Again, it's totally fine, just run straight through people. Give me bullets. This time we're going to fight him without any of those tools. We're just going to go straight up, fight him. Fight me, Blood-starved beast. Blah, 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 blah. The thing about him is, if you kind of dodge around to his left, there's really not much he can do. You just kind of stay in his face. That move I kind of want to talk about a little bit more specifically. You see him do that, kind of dodge backwards with him as he jumps. Then you won't kind of lose your camera lock. Everything else dodge to the left. That's pretty much the whole boss. You just hit him, dodge to the left when he's attacking. Eventually he'll do this. You can hit him in the back with a charge R2 and get a visceral unless you're terrible like me. Dodge to the left, he misses. Get in some hits. Dodge to the left, you're pretty safe. And then dodge with him when he does that. Dodge with him. Keep your lock on. Dodge to the left of him. It's going to do this again. We're going to try one off. Nope, we missed. Oh, goodness. So even when you know what you're doing, this stuff can get away from you. Now we're going to do everything together. We're going to use our tools. We're going to use our tactics. We're going to take this guy downtown to Browntown. Again, the shortcut's very straightforward. Most of them are. They're just a straight shot from the lamp. Try to hit dodge with a direction as you're landing from heights, and you'll usually kind of roll out of it. You still take the same amount of damage, but you don't kind of do the superhero landing and take a knee for a half an hour. You just roll like that. Now his first phase is very easy, so we're just going to play it straight. You dodge with him. Get some hits. Dodge left. Dodge left. Get in some hits. If you get with a pillar, just kind of move. Let him come to you. So one of the things he does is he starts spewing poison out. He'll start doing poison damage. That move is very important to dodge. That is a grab. Especially when he has poison on, that'll usually kill you. That time I dodged away from him. Ended up getting slow poisoning. Just trying to recover a little bit. Hopefully whiff a whole bunch of times, that's fine. Dodge. About to go Super Saiyan, that's fine. Now we're going to use all of our tools. Stick them in this corner. Ah. Get on him. Third phase, you'll see him kind of have this big cloud around him. You can just avoid him while he has that on him. and it'll eventually go away. We'll have to rebuild it up. Like that. Poisoning it, we're just gonna kind of deal with it. I'm so dumb. Again, as long as you don't panic, you can pretty much take your time with the bosses. Give me time to use another antidote. So just kind of stick to your plan, feel them out, don't panic, don't get greedy. I can't even tell you how many times I've died to a boss when he's had just the smallest sliver of health. We don't have any new shards, so we can't upgrade our weapons, so we're going to use all of our echoes for this. Yeah, we'll start with that. Good practice, especially later on when you start having more echoes, is to always buy as many blood vials as you can after you've leveled up. So once you're done with Old Yarnum, it's time to go back to Cathedral Ward. There's really not much left in Cathedral Ward, which is why I kind of consider Old Yarnum sort of an extension of it. But after killing that enemy, these doors are open. There's a hidden item right back here. You can roll off the elevator and get it. Now this item is a glyph. We're going to talk more about that in the next video. We go to Henwick Charnel Lane. You can go up here. There's a much later on level, but you want to go down here. And this is sort of a jumping puzzle. It's how to get down without taking enough damage to kill you, that kind of thing. Again, you can fall really far. Like, for instance, if you look down here, there's a platform right, like, way down there at where those ropes are leading to. If you see this little piece of wood sticking out on the right, if you try to kind of slowly walk into that hole, you'll land on it. And then if you walk off of here, you'll land on the next one. If you have full health, it won't be enough to kill you. And this is a secret area. But also a very helpful one if you're playing for the first. Because of this chest right here. All close. This item, a bird of umbilical cord, is important to the ending of the game, so we won't talk about it right now. Here is the real-world version of the doll, and this is sort of the real-world version of the hunter's dream. It's the abandoned hunter workshop. I believe this is the first hunter workshop. I could be wrong though. Like I said, everything is really vague on purpose. The easiest way to get down from here is to just roll off the ends of stuff. Not very important there, but right here, you might think you have to jump that, but you can really just roll off the side and land on it. Whoop. Took no damage. And charged R2 leads to viscerals. Leads to transform attacks. Another glyph. This area can be sort of deadly, so we're gonna heal up. Basically, there's a lot of people on the streets. There's a really, really dangerous guy, which I'll show you right now. This guy is actually a Thumaran, which we'll talk about in later videos for sure. So we get more into the lore about what's kind of actually happening in this game. The easiest way to get through this area is to go back here. Get your pimp hat. Run around this dog. Go left here. And then you'll be at an elevator. And just get out of there. Down the other way, if you explore some in there, there's going to be a gem that does fire damage. And it's the earliest gem you can get if you're doing an arcane build. But again, if you're new, that's really more of like an advanced technique. So I don't really recommend spending too much time down there. Coming off of there, you open up this gate, and it leads back to the entrance to the Cathedral Ward. This is that area that I said was a dead end initially. Now there's a guy back there, kind of looks that same Thumaran guy I was talking about in the last part. If that one kills you, he takes you to a late game area, which can be helpful, but it's more trouble than it's worth right now. From here we can open this gate. And this is something that's very poorly explained. So if I were to go to try to ring my beckoning bell, I can't. Because co-op isn't allowed in this area for right now. What triggers co-op being available is opening this gate. This is also the gate that you can open with that $10,000 or 10,000 echo key item. You can use it on this side and the helpers will pop up near the lever and open it for you. If you go that route, you kind of go this way, you end up on the roof, and it'll drop you back behind this gate. From here off to the side, this is an area we'll go to later. It's the entrance to, probably should be the next zone, but usually isn't. We're going to get around this guy, roll a bit, pick up our first 2 twin stone shards. I'm going to avoid him like the plague. We're going to run down here. And right here is the next kind of more actual useful tempering shard. If you look at it, it actually does 7.3%. So this is a circle-shaped gem. The circle gems go in your guns. And they do blood tinge. Blood attack is what the guns do. That's why a blood tinge build is really based on, not really guns, because they don't ever really do enough damage to be your main damage dealer for the entire game. They can supplement your damage really well in some situations, but you really need a weapon that does blood damage, and there is one later on which we'll get to. The boss for this level is up here. Bad dodge. Terrible dodge. We're going to run around this guy. The boss area is up there, but we're going to go here first for a very specific reason. You drop down to the left of this tree. You kind of land on a house. Drop down again. You get this item. It's a Frenzied Cold Blood 7. That will give you a ton of echoes, which will help you level up, I think, usually twice. The problem is there's these 2 hunters here. But if you're quiet... Oh, that does nothing. I'm not strong enough. So then you run away from them. So we're going to go take a look at the final boss for this area. Now keep in mind there are parts of the Cathedral Ward I didn't look at. That area I told you about where you come around after going through the big gate, you go around up the roofs to drop back around here. That's an interesting place to explore. There's some guys there. There's some quest-related guys there. There's an armor set back there. Going the other way, there is a set of like a monocular you can get. It's pretty interesting. Another blood-tinged gem. The reason we skip in those is because we're looking at just the basic stuff you need how to get through the level. Because again, the early game in this is not very well explained, and so kind of knowing how these pieces fit together, I think it would be more helpful than knowing every nook and cranny of the level. And hopefully that's what you're getting from this. Skip that cutscene. Again, she's a limb boss. So if I keep attacking this leg specifically, I will eventually end up staggering her. That's an attack to look out for. It does a ton of damage. The leg is bleeding, so I might have already broken it. Another grab attack. You're probably watching this and thinking, wow, this is a nightmare. It totally is. This is 100% a skill check boss. Skill check, making sure your build's in order. See, I hit her a bunch of times, barely did any damage. She has a lot of different kinds of attacks, a lot of grabs, a lot of range. So even kind of trying to get away from her to take a breath doesn't really work in all situations. That said, there are things you can do. Like not save your status at a lamp that's 4 miles from the boss, for instance, is helpful. Again, after you've unlocked the shortcut, from the lamp to the boss is a pretty straight shot. Just up these stairs. Again, you can call an NPC hunter for help. I could ring the beckoning bell, see if anybody shows up. if you are having a lot of trouble with the boss, ringing the beckoning bell is one of the easiest ways to just get through them. If you want to learn it yourself, which I don't blame you. So what we're going to do this time is actually use our tools. So we're going to go through the door, put on some fire, put on a beast blood pellet, which I mean honestly I don't need to be taking more damage, but here we are. Oof. I try to play a little bit more conservatively, but oh my, I thought I dodged that. No, that's me, folks. The first time I beat this boss, she had killed me for a weekend straight. So yes, she's very tough. And also, like, I'm probably under level. I'm level 21. I haven't been killing a lot of people. When you're going through here, you'll have more health than I do. You'll probably hit harder than I do. I'll have a little bit more wiggle room. Numbing mist. That keeps enemies from healing themselves. Oh, jeez. Just the worst. Alright. One of the annoying things about this boss specifically is... Oh, I never went and leveled up. We'll pretend that's what my problem is, not that I'm terrible. One of the things this boss does that's really annoying, and is kind of a DPS check, is she will start to heal herself mid-fight. And you kind of have to damage through it and hope that you can get a stun on her while she's doing it, or you can just hit her in the face with a numbing mist, and she won't be able to heal. The main problem is her heal attack looks exactly like the two-handed slam attack that hits you from across the entire arena. So it can be tricky to sort of know when to go hard on that. We're going to use all of these. Just see how much we can level.
Hello, I am...
No. No chest. Alright. Good enough. We're also going to go ahead and put that actual good blood gem in our weapon instead of that exceptionally useless one. And that's going to boost us by 9 whole points of damage. And we are going to spend the remainder of our echoes on blood vials. It is extremely easy to run out of blood vials if you die a lot. Extremely easy. So you might notice we skipped endurance. We left it at 15. And we upgraded Vitality twice. Reason being, we're not able to just sort of sit and hit this boss as many times as we want to. So that's a great example of getting greedy. I wanted to run in and show you if I could snap a limb real quick, but instead of doing that, I just swung too many times while she did the big slam attack. So now we're going in with no fire paper, which is great. It's honestly fine. You're probably wondering, why would I upload a video on YouTube trying to teach people how to play Bloodborne where I'm dying over and over and over again? I kind of want to give you the impression that it's like, it's okay to die, like, it's okay to make mistakes, like, it's gonna happen. This one's already not going great. Try to make some space. Couldn't get away from that. Ah, double. Yeah, we're gonna dodge this one. Let's do a quick transform attack. Transform attack. Dodge. Dodge. Heal. Get in. Dodge. Transform attack. Get in. Transform attack. That hug. There you go. I can run on the front, try to get a visceral off. On a lot of the bosses, it really does serve you well to learn to fight them without kind of locking on. And again, just kind of take time. Oop, missed it. That's okay. That's fine. He's howling. I'm going to take the opportunity to heal up. She's in kind of a freak out phase now. She gets a couple of more moves. Ouch. Ouch. I was lucky. This is where we use it. Oh, saw that coming. So maybe this is your life. Maybe you're on Amelia and you're like, I can't do it. I can't use my beckoning bell because I don't have PS Plus or whatever. I can't beat her. I'm up against a wall. I don't want to grind a ton. My weapon's too weak. I'm not doing any damage. Like all these kind of things. She's impossible. There's a way. And I'll show it to you right now. To just kind of even the odds a little bit. Oop. What we're going to do is go left here. Now we're just going to skip her altogether. We're going to use the next area to get more powerful. Hemlock Charnel Lane has a whole bunch of twin bloodstone shards, which is the next upgraded material. There's also a pretty easy boss at the end of it. Since I've said that, I'll probably die to it 1,000,000 times now. This area, there's nothing worth collecting in here. There's a couple of blood vials, some bullets, I think some hunter marks, maybe, I don't know. Nothing worth the hell of trying to figure this level out. There's just a bunch of guys with guns, a bunch of dogs, literally just run straight through it. By straight I mean zigzag a lot because guns. Another nice thing about coming here early, if you have less than 15 insight, it's very normal. If you have any more than that, then you'll run into like guys that are popping up. It becomes a little bit tougher. I'll make a little bit of space. Now we're gonna boop boop. Nope. We kill these dogs. And this is the lamp for Hunter Charnel Lane, which will be our next video. Anyway, that was a nice big failure. Holy crap, I never saw how big the moon was from here. Okay, we'll call it there for now. Next we'll go through Hemlock Charnel, we'll talk about upgrading weapons, and then come back to that boss that's sort of a big wall for most people. I know she was for me. I didn't know that this was an option, just skipping her. And so we're going to do that, come back in the next video. You'll have a good evening. Bye!